Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Economic Forum where we discuss all things economics in our country of Zimbabwe. I'm your host tonight, Victor Mabuto, and in the studio we have a special guest, Musasiwa, where we're going to be delving into the discussion of tech and agriculture, tech and the economy, as well as look at how we can improve the customer service industry. Kuda, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Well, before I get started, you're a techie, you're a farmer, at one point a music producer. Can you define what you actually do?
Right now, I'm a vendor. We grow great stuff at our farm and we sell it and deliver it to people's homes. So we are basically vendors.
So my first question now would be looking at, there's always this talk about tech disruption, the fourth industrial revolution. In the interest of our viewers, can you actually define what you mean when you talk about tech disruption?
Look, as a generation, we are obviously some of the most blessed generation ever. We carry in our pockets and in our hands most of the times computers that are more powerful than computers that sent men to the moon or launched nuclear attacks on Hiroshima. Right? These mobile phones we hold are extremely powerful now, and I think what we have done with our produce and our business is to leverage the very strong phones that we hold, that everybody holds, that connects us all in this world, to show your produce, show the processes, show your life, and people want to support that. And there's easy now ways of getting money off these same devices. People can now pay you using various payment methods, mobile payment methods. You can advertise photos. You can now have catalogs on your WhatsApp, etc. So now we're using this technology to reach more customers than we could have normally done before. An old farmer used to have to follow the paradigm of you harvest your crops, you go kumbare, you leave it there, makorenyera in the middle, take the produce, and then you pray that someone comes and orders from you, and you don't even know where your produce goes. And now we don't have to do that. Our customers can order produce directly from us. We can use technology using sophisticated maps to be able to get to people faster, route each other quicker, and we can now get our produce to people from our farms to their homes in the same day, and we can get paid immediately using the phone. So it's a very powerful, disruptive tool that's happened in the last few years.
So does it actually work? Because it's very few people who are implementing that type of style of implementing of technology. Everyone else is still delivering their produce to centers. How does that work?
Well, it's working well for us and working well for others. I think if we look at some of the giants in the world now, this new model of connecting directly with customers and getting stuff last mile to people's homes is working better. We're now in a space where we have this crazy pandemic of COVID, for example, and people could not even leave their homes. But people still have their devices. They can still see their produce. They can still order what they like, and they can, we can then use our cars to deliver them to homes safely, zero contact, and get paid without contact. And it's a wonderful tool. And I think it works great, and everybody should start implementing it because that's the way the world is going. If you've lived abroad or you're in different countries now, most people now rarely leave their houses to go shopping.
But how practical is it? Because not many people know how to use it. In fact, there's a digital divide. There are more people who are not on these social media platforms, who are not conversant with using technology, and some people don't even know how to read English. So how practical can it be in a Zimbabwean context?
A lot of the growers who are part of our business, grower schemes, for example, are similar. They will have feature phones without WhatsApp, etc. But then they've managed to tap into people like us, and there's a lot of space within the value system for people who are maybe not on the digital space. To still provide us, we've got guys from Chabu, giving us tomatoes. We've got guys from Domboshawa doing spinaches and other really great
So
products.
they're also on those platforms as well, those guys who are out there supplying.
They're out there, they're supplying us, but they use things like SMS. You can call each other. I mean, there's ways of plugging in. And then there's people like us who really care about tech and passionate about meeting customers online and social media, and we can connect them directly. So to be honest, it doesn't actually, the farmer in Chabu doesn't have to be on Facebook. We are on Facebook enough to make sure that their produce gets to people's homes. And I think this is what we're doing, try and bridge the farm to fork model using technology, using WhatsApp, using Facebook, using Twitter, etc.
But still, there's also an issue of infrastructure. Like, for example, issue of base stations, you talk about SMS. Not everyone has that type of access to internet or SMS services, especially maybe potential suppliers or even farmers. how do you bridge that gap? What is a practical way that the nation can invest in to make sure that there's infrastructure available throughout the country to provide these type of services?
Obviously, a big governmental issue, a big private enterprise and government issue that you're discussing here. I mean, if people are watching this particular broadcast of this show, they're either online watching it on ZBC, or they're going to have an analog signal that's coming into their TV sets at their houses, and they have electricity or they have solar of some sort, right? And if they have that, they have SMS and they have mobile telephony. And I think we are, as a nation, we haven't moved as fast as I would like, but I think we can now be proud enough to say that a lot of our country is now under some sort of cellular communication, whether it's telephone, SMS, a lot of 3G, Edge, and the LTEs are now available. So it's a big government issue that we have to keep as the people pushing our government and pushing our industry to keep innovating and keep adding infrastructure out there so we can all reach each other. I'm fortunate now that I'm happy I can send WhatsApps to everybody. We can share jokes, we can share videos. And that's something that was not possible 3 years ago, but now it is. And I think we are going into this developed space where more and more of us are connected using these devices. We should not be leaving anyone behind. With COVID, kids had to start learning online. People are starting to shop online. People are now starting to sell produce, get expertise, learn lessons online, etc. And I think this is something that we are at the forefront of is championing and hoping to push our government, our local industries to keep pushing in this direction where we do industrialize in this fourth industrial revolution that is so necessary for our people to be lifted out of poverty.
All right. On that note, we seal off our first segment. See you in the second. Welcome to the second segment of Economic Forum. Today we have Musasiwa in the studio and we're talking about tech and economy. Right now we're going to go into tech and agriculture. So, a young farmer in Lotito there wants to market his tomatoes. How does he do it in terms of marketing on social media, in terms of using other apps and websites? How do you guide that person out there?
Because of this very strong mobile phones that are out there now, farmers have an option that they didn't have before. And I think what we're trying to encourage is that, talk to people in the spaces that they're the most comfortable, what they have access to. When we're dealing with our customers specifically, if a customer wants to order through SMS, we deal with them. If they want to order through Facebook, we deal with them there. Twitter, they're there. WhatsApp, there. And I think a farmer has the same options that we have. We also have a peri-urban farm, and we show people our farm every day using WhatsApp. We take pictures, we post them on Facebook, post them on Instagram, post them everywhere. And then people talk to us through the channels that they're most comfortable with, which is the most affordable for them. So I really encourage any farmer to not just use these devices for, sending other bad news and then makua, etc.
Or fake news.
It's fake news. It's a very powerful tool. We're connected to each other in ways we couldn't imagine before.
But guide them through. You see, just imagine me. I'm just a farmer from Binga there. I really want to sell my produce. I want to sell it to more customers. I want to try and X out the middleman. Guide me through the process.
I think it's definitely working with people like ourselves. There's many companies like us who are willing to work with people in different areas, contacting us through the telephone, through SMS, etc. Tell us what your planting schedules are. We'd love to send one of our agronomists out there to see your position, your irrigation, how well you're doing. We plan together so that we know when your crops are due. We the 3-month cycles, 6-month cycles, etc. And then when we know that your produce is ready on this particular day, we will come and pick up, and then we offload to our customers. So there's a lot of companies in the middle within this value chain who are willing to work with farmers in the peri-urban, in the rural areas, and many of us are already in that space, working very diligently with some of these guys. You get some of the best tomatoes right now from Mutoko. There's a lot of great, butternuts coming out of different areas, pineapples from the Honde Valley, bananas. We're already in this space, and farmers are already finding each other through these spaces, through these WhatsApp groups, if you have a bit of LTE, 3G in your area, they're finding each other in these groups. They're coordinating pricing, coordinating quality standards. How are we going to make sure that we deal with, too much rain? This beginning of this year was weird. We had more rain than we needed. And we had issues with pricing, issues with sometimes with inputs. Shifting prices in input, telling each other where we can get better deals as far as fertilizers, etc. So let's use our devices in a way that connects us in ways that we didn't do before. Because these are powerful and very cheap ways of us getting ourselves to market easier.
So does that automatically mean if you're using technology like communicating to your customers, does it make the produce cheaper? Because it's not. I mean, the produce that people are marketing on social media or marketing on these platforms, it's more or less the same, or if not a bit more expensive than the Mbari produce.
Yeah, and this is a bigger problem with our society, though, that we do try and profiteer a lot. And I think what we've tried to show, if you look at some of our channels, of course, is that we are really slashing the prices because we have no middlemen in our process, right? So if you're buying carrots from us, for example, you can't get them anywhere cheaper, because what we know is that if we take 300 kgs of our carrots to a supermarket, we're waiting 90 days for payments in RTGS late, and you now become debt collectors as well instead of farming. When we take directly to our customers, we can give them the same prices we would give to a supermarket, and the customers generally are paying us at point of collection or at point of drop-off. So we get our access to our money quicker. This limits a lot in the process. We don't have to wait for our money as much. We can go back and plant and buy fertilizers quicker. So we can be a lot cheaper. Economies of scale. The more of us who are doing this, the sooner the prices of these of commodities start going down. The more people are
using the tech. Absolutely.
The prices start going down. We are in a situation right now where if somebody's selling clothes in town, in a brick and mortar store, they're selling the trousers at the same price, and they'll be selling them on WhatsApp. But when you're selling them on WhatsApp, you don't need a store in town. You no longer have overheads. You don't have rentals. You no longer have Magetsi to pay in your store, right? You're a virtual store. You're spending less. You can operate a virtual store even from this room.
But you're paying an arm and a leg for the consultancy of having the tech. You're paying an arm and a leg for inviting a guy to show you the way through, isn't it?
No. WhatsApp is free. WhatsApp catalogs are free. People can now shop on WhatsApp. They can send you mobile money through one of our 3 networks in Zimbabwe, and you can immediately get paid. I mean, there's so many great ways now with very little barrier of entry as far as selling stuff using things like WhatsApp.
But then you're looking at an issue of if you invite someone to, let's say, develop a website or an app, they're still going to charge you an arm and a leg. We don't have that service getting any cheaper.
Okay, so I'm going to be 100% real with you guys. We have great websites, we have great apps and all these kind of things. If I could turn back time with the knowledge that I now know, I wouldn't have bothered spending so many thousands of dollars on websites and apps, because our customers are not there. 99% of us do not wake up and say, I want to go to jz.com. We don't do that. Be very careful to spend too much cash on applications and fancy things that your customers don't care about. Because even me, when I walk out of a room with Wi-Fi, generally I don't bother buying any other type of internet except for the bundles, the WhatsApp bundles, my communication tools. Because I feel like, when I get to the office, I'll get on Wi-Fi, etc. So I generally don't go on websites anyway, right? And I think a majority of Zimbabweans are in the same space. The research is there. It's been proven that, if you can use places where people are, you can save a lot of money. You don't actually need a website. You need an email address and you need a WhatsApp number. And you're generally going to be able to connect to over 3 billion people on this planet. What else do you need?
But before we go into our third segment, I just want to ask you about the impact of using these apps in terms of training farmers. Is it a practical way to train farmers, especially when we have the COVID-19 pandemic?
I have been in a fish rearing class on WhatsApp. It was fantastic. The guy was sending us little mini videos, giving us voice notes and sending us documents through WhatsApp. We learned a lot. During this last pandemic, after I came out, I was very sick with COVID and I came out of hospital, and I did a fish training course online. We just can't wait now to get our hands dirty and actually get the fish project off the ground at our farm. But we found this is amazing. We've learned all these things that normally would have taken us flights or money, trips, fuel, hotel rooms, etc. to learn. But we managed to have this resource, and this resource is still there. I can still go back on that one particular fish farming group. I think we paid, it was $5 equivalent in RTGS. And we got all these important lessons on an app. on WhatsApp, for example, and we learned a bunch of things, and those resources are still there on my phone. I think that's a fantastic way to move. Our children are now learning online. We're all using these particular tools now more and more because we're not able to interact like we used to. So let's leverage these technologies because some of them are free and some of them are really easy to use.
Okay, hold that thought. Let's go into a break and then you get back into the third segment.
Awesome.
Welcome to our third and final segment of Economic Forum. If you're just joining us, in the studio we have Musasiwa, who is a techie, an agro-techie.
A vendor.
So, Zimbabweans are an abused consumer. Can tech provide a solution?
Absolutely. We are now having to advertise and sell in spaces that are highly accountable. Kuda can no longer say to you, I'm selling you great potatoes that are washed and then deliver you unwashed, horrible
But
potatoes.
people are doing that though.
No, but then if you the cream will rise to the top, because if you give people subpar products, they now have an outlet, a voice called social media, which can destroy your brand and you will never sell again. And I think it's an accountability loop that is now developed, where a customer can now ask you to describe your product correctly. If you provide that correct service and you provide them a superior product, that customer will go online and say, my God, this is a wonderful company, I recommend them. If you now go and you give them a subpar product at a wrong price, they can now go online and say, this company is horrible, I don't ever use them. And I think this is a good accountability loop where we are now being taught proper customer service. And when you treat your customers good and you're 100% customer focused, right? Mm-hmm. These customers, because all they are doing online is they're sharing my status, my WhatsApp and my Facebook. They are very happy to tell you about a great experience. I went to this restaurant and the food was fantastic and the waiter was polite. It was a wonderful experience. And that is self-advertising in itself. We're now in a space where we cannot afford to treat our customers badly. If you go on Facebook today, you go on Name and Shame. There are companies that are being trolled there, and those companies lose business. They lose because when somebody now wants to get, let's say, a piece of furniture, mm-hmm. they now go on Facebook first and they search the name of the furniture shop on Name and Shame to see has anyone else had a problem with this company, mm-hmm. or go on Google, see the Google reviews. Has anyone else had anything to say about this company? So we are now in a space, ladies and gentlemen, where the customer is always right and the customer is king. We are now in this space where the customer is king and queen. They must be treated with utmost respect. They must be treated with like the intelligent people they are. Because when they want to give you their money, mm-hmm. you must give them the value for their money in the product that you provide.
But we're a highly informalized economy, so that means people don't even have training in customer service, in understanding what the customer wants. It's just you and me selling things to each other, and if you don't like it, well, that's your problem.
Well, if you don't like it, you take your money elsewhere. And we no longer have the opportunity to say we don't know customer service. We have more resources in our hands as a generation than our fathers and mothers and our grandparents ever could have imagined. Right? We have YouTube training, we have Facebook, we have Twitter. You can literally find resources anywhere to teach you how to treat your customers better. And instinctively, as a customer, you must know, because you also sometimes part with your money for goods and services, right? So we need to be in a space now where we consider our customer service has to be obnoxiously polite. It has to be accurate. It has to be informative. It has to be helpful. I don't know if you ever dealt with an American company or been to America, but it's almost like they smile too much. They make you feel so special because they're highly competitive to get your money. And I think the people will realize that, in our company, for example, when we deliver the product we said we were going to deliver, 5 minutes even before the time we said we were coming, customers are delighted and they do nothing but sell us to their friends, share in groups and say, these guys are wonderful. And if we make a mistake and we're late or we're wrong or we give you the wrong product, we make sure that we apologize, accept our mistakes, do everything we can to fix it. Because again, when you fix a problem, The customers again go and they tell their friends, you know what? I bought this from them, they messed up, but then they fixed it and they immediately replaced my product. So again, people go and they tell your story and they make sure
but
that
you still your name and shame, even though if you've said sorry, they'll still remember that you're name and shame, and
I assure you, if you fix people's problems, some of these things go away. People don't want to be ignored. They don't want to be unheard. They don't want you to take their money and their custom for granted. And if you follow those rules, right, people will not name and shame you.
So I want to digress a bit and maybe focus on another form of customer service, which I think is gaining popularity around the world. Does it matter to a customer how a product is made? And why are people really marketing how a product is made, how it's developed? Why is there a drive?
Because people are now not just buying products, they're now buying the why. And they're also buying the how. When we grow our products organically, when we grow our products with love, when people see the videos of us in the fields, people, they connect to the story, they connect to the food that they're about to spend money on. They connect, if you're a person who my dress and they see you behind the sewing machine and they see the design sketches and they're part of this fantastic process of human creativity, people connect with that more. We are no longer in a space where we can just be spoon-fed products anymore. We are now a generation that's highly connected. It's a generation that wants to seek more high connections with people. And, when you're running your businesses now, utilize these facts. If you are selling shoes for, there's an example of Tinopona Kazande, who recently was on social media, seen in a picture, Akabereka Mwana selling her eggs. And a few people said some nasty things, but then automatically the wave changed. People could immediately relate with a young mother, with young children, who is hustling, trying to find a way to feed her children. And guess what? We all want to eat every day. We all want to eat eggs. And all of a sudden, Tino is now bombarded using social media. And right now, she's busier than she can ever be. I think she's making a lot of good, honest money delivering to people through social media. And now she's having to find eggs for other people. She's now becoming a big hub of eggs. And that's a wonderful story. So I want to buy my eggs from a good story, a good cause that I see in somebody developing. And nobody resents that anymore. And on social media, there's many stories like that.
On that interesting point in which you're sharing the stories and why people gravitate towards them, unfortunately, we'll have to seal off the show. But it was a pleasure having you here and sharing your insights on technology and the economy, as well as focusing on agriculture and tech. That was all we could afford to have for today. Thank you, Kuda, for coming through to this show. It's really an inspiration to always have a chat with you. On behalf of the crew and me, Victor Mabuto, we would like to say thank you and good night.